Hey everyone, Caleb with the Antique Book Collective, and today I'm getting to you guys with a little bit of a update and a little bit of a science experiment, all that sort of stuff. And it is on my little recommendation that I did in a previous video on storing your books with baking soda on top of them. So this, of course, is something that I said in that video, and it was for mass market paperbacks. I just wanted to immediately follow that video up with a little bit of a disclaimer. So I have done this. It has been a couple of months since I made that video. Tech difficulties and whatnot made it so I didn't make that video right away and release it right away. Plus, I wanted to run this experiment before I released that video. So I have the results, sort of that video now. So again, the tip was I stored these books in the fabric totes with baking soda on top of them. I didn't, of course, put baking soda on every single book. I basically just sprinkled it on top of some of them. So as you can see, if I run my finger on it, you got baking soda on your finger. So I did do a rather heavy amount on it, and it was just in the name of science. You know, I was really curious how this would go. And I just want to say right now that I would not store your books with baking soda if you had an antique book. Baking soda is not something you want to mess with when you are doing antique books. Antique books are something you need to treat with like little kitty gloves, you know? Like, you don't want to harass them, you don't want to like rip them up, you don't want to stain them, you don't want to have baking soda all over them and ruining them. However, mass market paperbacks, you're paying basically nothing for them a lot of the times. They're not worth a whole lot. And honestly, no one's really going to care if they get a little bit damaged because you read it once and they are all sorts of damage. So let's look at this one right here. Just took off some of the baking soda. As you can see, this one here, I mean, you have all the lines on it from where someone creased the spine because they opened it too far or something along those lines. I mean, mass market paperbacks, they just get damaged all the time. That's what happens. I mean, that's the entire point of a mass market paperback is you damage it because they're meant to be read like once and then they just die on you. It's a little bit annoying for people like me that like to keep my books, but it works for some people. But back to the thing about storing your books with baking soda. So I've done it, and it has not damaged the books as far as I can see. There are a couple of books that were a little tacky, like the spines themselves were a little bit tacky when I put the baking soda on, so it was a little bit hard to clean off the baking soda. But by and large, I mean, you just wipe your finger on it, it gets the baking soda off, and it works pretty well. As far as odor control goes, so this book, group of books here, I'm smelling it. I don't smell a whole lot of odors, which is something that is pretty neat for mass market paperbacks. If you guys have done these, you will know that some of them, depending on where people have read them, some of them will have a little bit of a stink. And I found that the baking soda on top of them did do pretty well at mitigating that stink. However, I don't think I'd recommend it to anyone and everyone to do. What I would honestly say is probably for the best is doing like something like an odor absorber, something along those lines. They have like little activated carbon ones that you can put in. So if you guys are doing fabric totes like me, the odor absorbers, they have little activated carbon, charcoal odor absorber things, little baggies of them. Honestly, you could put one right here in this little void space that I have mentioned in the past. And I know I was saying, oh, I wish I knew something I could put in there to make it work. And honestly, that actually seems like that could work very well for me. That is, of course, an option. However, if you guys are doing a big amount of mass market paperbacks like I do, that means you have a whole lot of totes, and all of those activated carbon bags, those definitely would stack up. So just off the top of my head, I think I saw once that you could buy something like 12 of them for $30. So let's say you have 12 things, 12 totes. I mean, that does stack up. That's $30 of activated carbon. Something nice about activated carbon that I have learned is you can actually take it out of the baggie, and if you leave it out in the sun, it like gets rid of all the odors, and it basically sort of reactivates it, and it's almost as good as new. It's not as good as new 100%, but it is better. So I mean, you could reuse it, you could buy more, but it's for mass market paperbacks, guys. I mean, I don't really see the value of that. What I would personally do, and what I have done, is I purchase things called air purifiers. So I have one right here. This one was, I think it was like $20 when I bought it. It's obviously gone up since then with inflation, but little air purifiers like this cute little guy, he actually does pretty well at cleaning the air. And that is something that I have used for my book business. I actually have a couple other air purifiers that I have used over the years. The best one that I've used was a whole lot more than that little $20 one, but there are, of course, other options. So I'm actually going to drop a link for air purifiers down below for you guys to check out. I'm actually working right now with a guy who runs a air purifier website, and hopefully he'll be writing an article for us that I can link to in the future, because there is a lot to know about air purifiers for your antique book business. But from what I know, the best thing for you guys to do is get one with something called a HEPA filter. So HEPA and then filter, and also an activated carbon filter. The activated carbon is for smells, and the HEPA filter is for smells, dust, and a whole lot of other stuff. And anyone that's been in a room full of old books, you do know there's a little bit of a smell. That smell is the books decomposing and aging and all that sort of stuff. So you might want to cut down on that smell, because not everyone likes old book smell. Personally, I like it, but there are a lot of people that don't like it. Plus, there's all the musty smells and all the other smells that come along with some books. So an air purifier can really help with that. But with all that said, back to the baking soda on books thing. So I just wanted to say one more time, guys. Oh, sorry for all the noise there. I just wanted to say one more time, do not put baking soda on your antique books. So there are things that you can do that are good for your baking soda uses for odors. So one thing that people do is they get like a little plate and they'll put baking soda on top of it. They'll stir it up every now and then to like get more surface area for it to react, because baking soda is really good at getting rid of odors. As I mentioned here, it did get rid of some of the odors. I did have to waste a little bit of time cleaning off these books before I send them out, because no one wants a book covered in baking soda. But it is something that you can do. You could sprinkle it on top. I don't recommend that. I've done it. But the little thing of like you put some baking soda on a plate, that could be helpful. Other people, they do it on a little rag. They do it in little baggies. Like there's 1,000,005 things that you can do. Just be sure if you do the baggies that it's a breathable baggie. But there's a lot of stuff that you can do with your baking soda. I mean, if you don't want to buy an air purifier, that's fine. I mean, use your baking soda, see how you like it, and just don't put it on your books if it's anything besides a mass market paperback, because again, mass market paperbacks, it doesn't matter if you damage them. As I already said, I did this as a test for you guys. I tested it on several hundred books. I saw very little damage to the books from doing the baking soda, but it is not something that I will continue doing, because I don't want to press my luck. Personally, I'm going to be moving away from that. I'm going to be moving back towards air purifiers, because air purifiers I find work a whole lot better, and it's a lot less maintenance for me to do, because with those, as I said, I had to clean off the baking soda, and if I didn't put the baking soda on it, or I put it on a plate or something like that that I mentioned earlier, I have to stir that up all the time to make sure that it's all good. Air purifiers, on the other hand, I mean, you only have to pay attention to them like once every 6 months. Some of them it's like once a year. It's really nice. So with all that said, if you guys would like to check out the air purifiers, again, that's down in the description. So I recommend them. I, again, will be working on a video in the future for that. But I hope that really helps. So again, don't put baking soda on antique books. Just do it on books you don't care a whole lot about, or don't put it on the books at all. And I will see you guys in the next video.